Ashley woke up in a cold sweat. Immediately, she realized that she was at home, with Daniel sleeping next to her. She made an effort to silently get up and leave the room. She didn't want the guy to look at her with a sorrowful gaze again and ask if she wanted to see a doctor. It had happened before. Just like today, she had the same nightmare. A nightmare that had been haunting her for several years now. Interestingly, when she was little and lost her parents, she never dreamt anything like that. But now, as an adult, this nightmare repeated itself over and over again. Each time she woke up screaming. She used to be in a relationship with Arnold. They were headed towards marriage, but one night he simply couldn't take it anymore. He followed her, but instead of embracing her and comforting her like before, he just packed his things in the bag. Ashley asked in a trembling voice, "Arnold, what are you doing?" He looked at her with anger in his eyes and replied, "Me? I'm leaving. It's unbearable to live like this. Regularly, several times a month, you wake me up with this insane scream. I can't take it anymore. I'm losing my mind." "Already?" she asked. "Yes, already! Because you've long turned into a crazy person, and you refuse to understand it. I don't want to have a mentally unstable wife. I don't want children born to a crazy woman." Arnold left, slamming the door. In the dream where buildings collapsed, volcanoes erupted, and a cloud of ash and dust covered running people, including her parents, stopped haunting her. For a whole year, Ashley couldn't recover from Arnold's actions. She waited for the dream to repeat, but it didn't. And Arnold never called again, which erased Ashley's mind a bit. She was just offered a chance to change her field of work a little. They suggested moving to the other side of the country, where the company was opening a new branch. She didn't hesitate for a second. What did she have to lose? The apartment was rented. The house where she happily lived with her parents was located in a village almost 100 kilometers away. The neighbor promised to look after it, but honestly, if it burned down, Ashley wouldn't be upset. She had tried to visit there a few times, but it was too painful. They used to live here as a family. Grandma, Mom, Dad, and her. Mom and Dad were rescuers, not just regular rescuers, but those who went on distant missions, saving people not just from forests, but during massive fires, crashes, earthquakes. Every time they went on another mission, Grandma would cross herself for a long time. She never asked them to quit such a dangerous job. She only prayed while they were away. She prayed and silently cried, thinking that Ashley couldn't hear her. On that day, Grandma decided to make pancakes with jam. Ashley always loved them. Mom and Dad were on another mission. The TV was on in the kitchen. Suddenly, Grandma froze. The news was showing on TV. Ashley didn't quite understand what they were saying, but Grandma stood still, watching the footage of an erupting volcano. Ashley looked at Grandma in fear, but she remained silent, staring at the screen. Her eyes looked empty. Then the doorbell rang. Ashley rushed to open it. Standing at the doorstep was a man in the same uniform her parents wore. That's when Ashley got scared. She was only 14 years old when she was left without parents. After the man left, Grandma sat there in silence. Ashley cried softly. She was so scared, so hurt. She couldn't believe she would never see her mom and dad again. And on the TV, they showed the footage again, where a cloud of dust and ash was descending upon people. She hoped that maybe, somewhere in that scene, her dad or mom would appear, but no. There was a deafening sound behind her. Ashley turned around and screamed. Grandma was lying on the floor, her eyes fixed on one spot. She wasn't sent to an orphanage. The family of her parents' superior took guardianship of Ashley. She was very grateful to them. They tried to surround her with love and care, sending her to study at a prestigious university. Of course, they couldn't replace her mom, dad, and grandma, but they at least tried. The most important thing was that they didn't let Ashley break down emotionally. The girl rushed to the kitchen, poured herself a glass of water, and sat on a chair to catch her breath. Why? Why did it happen like this? It had been 12 years since her parents were gone. She sat there for a long time. Then she glanced at the clock. It was almost time to get up. So what was the point of going back to bed? Ashley made an omelet, a few sandwiches, and went to wake up Daniel. but he was already awake. "Hey, darling." "Hey, why did you wake up so early?" Ashley looked at him intently. I wonder if he heard her running away. They sat down to have some breakfast. Ashley was even able to drink some coffee. Daniel didn't live with her, although he often stayed overnight. It seemed to suit both of them. But in the end, Ashley began to doubt the seriousness of his intentions. Not once had he hinted that 6 months was enough time to finally get married. Well, she wasn't going to propose to him herself, right? Daniel left first. They worked in the same company, but in different offices and departments. The time before lunch flew by unnoticed. Well, Daniel probably had his pastry already and, not waiting for her, left. She quickly walked to the cafe, and when she came out, she immediately saw Daniel. He was standing a little to the side of the door, talking to some girl. "Seems like your crazy girlfriend wasn't there for lunch." "I don't know. She was screaming and running again last night. It's getting unbearable." "Then why don't you leave her?" "I feel sorry for her. Who else would need her?" Ashley stepped back. What she heard shook her so much that she rushed back to the office. In the evening, Daniel called. He always called when he didn't stay overnight to wish her a good night. Ashley stared at the phone and didn't pick up. When the phone stopped vibrating, she sent a text message. "I'm in a psychiatric hospital. Don't call me anymore." Daniel called several times. Then she received a text message from him. "You really are crazy." Ashley deleted his number. Then she felt a sense of relief. Somehow, she was sure that she wouldn't have that nightmare again tonight. And she was right. In the morning, she woke up feeling lively and cheerful. She looked at herself in the mirror and said to her reflection, "Well, what? Shall we start a new life?" She went to work as if nothing had happened. She chatted happily and smiled. Right after lunch, Daniel appeared in the office. "Ashley, can we talk?" She looked at him calmly, even kindly. "About what?" "About us. What's happening?" "Daniel, why did you come? You don't love me, and therefore you don't care. Did you come because it's expected? Well, that's just silly, don't you think?" Daniel stood there, not knowing what to say. Well, fine for him, but why wasn't Ashley upset? It was actually a big blow to his ego. He tried again. "How are you now?" "Me? I don't understand the question, Daniel. I'm certainly very grateful that you spent a whole 6 months on some crazy person, but didn't I manage to live without you until I turned 26? I think I'll manage just fine from now on." "Leave." Ashley smiled at him radiantly. Daniel turned around and headed for the door. She watched him leave and bent over the papers. "And what was that?" "Tina, how many times do I have to ask you not to sneak up on me like that?" Tina, who was also Ashley's friend, smiled playfully. "Tina, go back to work. After work, let's grab a bottle of champagne to celebrate this thing, and I promise I'll tell you everything." In the evening, after learning all the details, Tina looked pensive. "Do you have any vacation days?" "Well, I think so," Ashley said, then paused. Her friend had come up with something extraordinary again. "Tina, I'm not going anywhere. Last time we almost drowned because you thought that those who hadn't kayaked had never truly lived." Ashley shuddered as she remembered that weekend when Tina convinced her to try kayaking. If it weren't for Ashley's good physical condition, they wouldn't have made it. They wouldn't have coped. Not only did Ashley have to hold on to a log to avoid being swept away by the current, but she also had to support Tina because it turned out she wasn't a good swimmer. "Well, don't yell. I won't drag you anywhere. Let's just go visit my grandmother. She lives by a quiet lake." "Doesn't she live with her parents?" "No, actually. She's not my grandmother, but my great-grandmother. I don't even know how old she is, but we definitely need to visit her. She's a witch, so she lives far away from everyone." Ashley burst into laughter. "Tina, what kind of witch?" Tina gave her a sly look. "Ashley, but how will you know if you don't check, right?" Ashley felt grateful for Tina. Sure, she held herself together. She was strong. But deep down, it still hurt. Was it her fault that she had nightmares? Why was she being treated this way? And now, because of these nightmares, was she destined to be alone forever? They had been navigating the winding path between the trees for an hour already. "Tina, you said you knew a shortcut." "Well, I've been here before." "Damn, I must have taken a wrong turn somewhere." Well, turn on your GPS. You should have navigation on your phone. Ashley, what good is a GPS here? There's never any signal. Tina spun the wheel and bumped the car into a tree. Great, now we've definitely arrived. Tina and Ashley got out of the car. They circled around it, paused, then circled around it again. Why? Why is that every time you take on something, the most innocent task turns into an adventure? And most of the time, it's far from safe. Ashley, why are you always yelling? I know every little bush around here. Oh, really? Well then, show us where to go and, more importantly, how to get there. Tina was about to respond when they heard a loud snap. A branch had broken. And if it had broken, it meant someone had broken it. Perhaps a bear. The girls screamed and found themselves back in the car within seconds. A shadow fell on the windshield. They shut their eyes tightly and heard a cautious knock. Oddly enough, a bear wouldn't knock. The knock repeated. Ashley cautiously opened one eye and saw a man looking mockingly at them through the window. Beautiful ladies, are you lost? William, just what we needed. Tina jumped out of the car and hung on the guy's neck. William laughed. Tina, you're already a grown, respectable lady, and you still throw yourself at everyone's neck? Well, not everyone. Ashley, meet my childhood friend. William took Ashley's hand in his and smiled. William, what are you doing here, in the woods? The same question could be asked of you. We asked first. I stopped by my grandmother's to check in on her. Tina sighed. We were also going to our grandmother's trying to take a shortcut and got lost. Tina, when was the last time you drove through the woods? I can't remember, about 3 years ago? Well, no wonder. Let's see what you've gotten yourselves into. William crouched down in front of the car, and Ashley watched him with pleasure. He didn't try to appear cooler than he was. His muscles were visible under his black t-shirt. He took off his jacket, and Ashley noticed a belt with cartridges around his waist, the kind hunters wear. She scanned the area and saw a rifle leaning against a nearby tree. Are the keys in the car? Tina nodded, and William got behind the wheel. Within 5 minutes, he confidently drove the car through the forest. A short while later, they arrived at a large clearing. On one side was the forest. On the other was a lake. And Ashley even gasped. This place reminded her of an illustration from a children's fairy tale book. She stepped out of the car. Oh my goodness, it's so beautiful. William turned her around by the shoulders, facing the lake. Look. He clapped his hands loudly, and swans ascended from below, soaring into the sky. Ashley froze. This can't be real. It can be. William turned around. And here's Grandma. Tina, why did it take you so long? I even asked William to see where you disappeared to. She embraced her granddaughter, but Tina stepped back for a moment. Granny, how did you know we were coming? Oh dear, don't you think I can feel when my granddaughter is approaching? Ashley looked at her grandmother with wide eyes and she chuckled. Don't worry, dear, I won't bite. My name is Paula. And what's yours? Ashley. Oh, that's good. Let's go inside quickly. The pies will cool down. Tina jumped up. My favorites, the ones with meat? The old woman smiled. Of course, your favorites. Thank William for the meat. Ashley loved it here. Such tranquility, such beauty. By evening, she and Tina went to the lake. Tina, what about William? Who is he? Does he live here? Oh, he used to live here. When we were little, we were very close friends. Then he moved away with his parents. But now he's back. I don't know why or for how long. Why do you ask? Ashley blushed suddenly and replied, Just curious. Wait a minute, my friend. What's going on with you? Tina, stop it. What's gone into you, acting like a child? Ashley, it's love at first sight. Oh, come on, stop talking nonsense. You know, this is the first time I approve of your choice, especially since he couldn't take his eyes off you either. 5 days of vacation flew by like one. Ashley knew that her fondest memory would be William. She realized that for the first time in her life, she had met a real man, the kind any woman would dream of. But William didn't make any moves, even though Ashley was certain he liked her. He joked around, grilled meat for them, and even took them fishing. On the last day, William left quite early. My vacation is over too. I'll be leaving tonight. We'll definitely see each other again. Ashley watched him until he disappeared into the woods, then turned around and met her grandmother's gaze. Her eyes seemed to penetrate deep into her. Come, dear, let's go. We'll talk and have some tea. Tina wanted to go with them, but her grandmother stopped her. Granddaughter, don't be offended, but you know we need to talk in private. After all, you brought your friend here for this purpose, didn't you? Yes, Granny. I'll take a walk by the lake then. The old woman brewed some tea. Tell me, what's troubling you? Oh, nothing special. I often have a dream. A nightmare. Those scenes when my parents died. How often does it happen? As soon as I start dating someone, the dream immediately comes. I scream, wake up, and they think I'm crazy. Does the dream occur when there's no man by your side? No, not once. Do you think it's my parents' way of telling me that he's not the right person for me? Your mom and dad have nothing to do with this. You subconsciously understand that this guy is not right for you, so you believe in the fairy tale you made up for yourself. But at night, when the mind sleeps, the soul wakes up. Don't worry, my dear. You'll get married even sooner than you think, and you won't scream in your sleep because you'll truly love your husband. As her grandmother spoke, Ashley felt her eyelids getting heavy. Sleep now, and let's see what you dream about. Ashley woke up as suddenly as she had fallen asleep. The old woman was sitting at the table. Ashley, who did you meet in your dream? Oh, you can't imagine. I was talking to my grandmother. It felt so good, so joyful to see her. She was just the same as before. And who else? Our neighbor. I don't remember him well. Anyone else? Fear crept in. Grandma Paula was looking at her with very dark eyes. If during the day her eyes were blue, very light, now they were not even brown, but black. I don't remember. I don't know. I don't think there was anyone else. What did your grandmother say? She scolded me, told me to go home, that my parents were worried. And what did you say? I don't remember what I replied. That's good. Ashley, listen to me. I rarely make mistakes, but now I'm afraid of making one. You met everyone who has passed away in your family, but your parents didn't come to you. Yes. Why? It seems to me that they're not among the dead, but even among the living. I don't see them. There's no thread that should connect you. You see, it's as if they didn't die. But if they are alive, they don't know you. How is that possible? I can't say for sure. I've told you everything I knew. On the very first day, Ashley bumped into Daniel at a cafe. Ashley, let's talk. Where did you disappear to? You left without saying anything. I could have been offended. Daniel looked at her playfully, and Ashley realized that all her wonderful mood after the trip was simply evaporating. How could she think that she loved this person? Daniel, we have nothing to talk about. We were wrong to think that something could work between us. Ashley, my patience is not limitless. I'm telling you again, I can get offended. Forever. Ashley wanted to smack this self-centered fool. Daniel, leave me alone. Is that clearer to you? She walked away, and Daniel watched her go. What was happening to her? So bold, so... not the same as she used to be. Maybe she should give it another try. Ashley couldn't focus on her work. She kept thinking about what the old woman had told her. And by the end of the workday, she had made up her mind. Her boss, seeing her, said, "No more time off, and even if there is, don't bother asking." Ashley sat down opposite him. I really need it, honestly. Otherwise, I'll have to quit. Ashley, what's happening to you? Where are you going? I need to go home. Will a week be enough? You're the best boss in the world. Ashley ran down the stairs. She had already booked her plane ticket. Now she needed to pack her things quickly and head to the airport. Ashley! Daniel, what else? We need to talk. I'm asking you not now. Better yet, never. Daniel grabbed her hand. Something is happening to you now. That's why you don't understand what you're doing, but I forgive you. Let go of me. She tried to free her hand, but Daniel held it tightly and painfully. Release the girl. Ashley immediately recognized that voice. Startled, Daniel let go of her hand, and Ashley rushed into William's embrace. Oh, there it is. Don't worry. She'll find a replacement for you just as quickly. William, I only have 2 hours, and then I have to board the plane. Plane? Where to? It's a long story. William opened the car door for her. She told him everything, from the moment they showed the news on TV many years ago. William drove the girl to the airport, and there, he kissed her and said, I'll be waiting, but if you need my help, just call me, and I'll fly to you. Ashley pressed against him. Just wait for me. He laughed. Well, I waited for 30 years, so I can wait a few more days now. The girl walked slowly down the street. Here is where she went to school, and there is where her grandmother turned when she went to the market on Sundays. Now she just needed to pass 2 more houses, take a turn, and she would see her home. Perhaps it was already destroyed. Ashley, is that really you? She stopped. In front of her stood an elderly woman wearing a hat. It was the same neighbor who was supposed to look after the house. Hello, Ashley greeted her. The neighbor suddenly burst into tears. Finally, who informed you? They couldn't find a place for themselves. They searched all the surrounding towns. Who? Ashley asked. But the neighbor suddenly fell silent. Her eyes widened. Ashley, you don't know anything, do you? What don't I know? Speak clearly. What happened? But the neighbor couldn't utter a word. She only whispered, Run home. And something clicked in Ashley's mind. No, she didn't think that her parents would be waiting for her at home. Or did she? She quickened her pace, and then she started running. Ashley stopped. The house didn't look abandoned. The windows were clean, with flowers on the sills. Perhaps she had some relatives who found her? Yes, that must be it. She approached the door. In the backyard in the gazebo her father had built for her sat a woman. Who was she? Maybe a relative? Or maybe a complete stranger? How much she resembled her mother. Maybe a sister. Why not? Ashley realized that the woman couldn't see. She was blind. And Ashley recognized her immediately. Mom! Ashley screamed so loudly that birds flew off from all the trees nearby. The woman slowly stood up. She looked at Ashley. Ashley? My daughter? The girl rushed towards her. She grabbed her, hugged her, held her tightly. She sobbed uncontrollably, unable to hear her own words. She only repeated, Mom, Mommy, Mommy. The woman kissed her hair. My dear daughter, my little girl. And then someone lifted Ashley up into their arms. My little girl. It was the final blow. Dad? Late at night, they sat around the table, describing how Ashley regained consciousness, thinking it was another dream, would be beyond words. Ashley's father began to tell the story. 12 years ago, it happened to us too. We had a slightly different mission there, but that doesn't matter now. Basically, nobody bothered to rescue us from there. We became the people who were simply not needed, here and even considered dangerous. For 5 years, we wandered without any documents. If we had approached people, maybe they would have helped us, but our lives wouldn't have been worth anything. And then, due to an injury, your mother's vision started fading. There was nothing we could do. We had to return from the mountains. We were immediately thrown into prison. 6 months ago, they changed our names to the names of other people who had committed similar acts in our country. Everything has changed here. Your mother has already had surgery, and the doctors say there is hope. We searched for you. It was only yesterday morning that I found your city. I don't know your phone number or the exact address, but your mother and I decided to come. We wouldn't have found you from here. We've already bought the tickets. How are you doing? You haven't been here for 10 years. You didn't leave any contact information for anyone. It was difficult for me. I didn't want to. I couldn't. I wouldn't have come back. But a kind old woman told me that you were alive. My dear daughter, I don't know if I'll ever see you again, but I'm sure you're the most beautiful to me. Ashley's mother gently caressed her hand, and her father immediately added, Don't doubt it for a second. They went to sleep towards dawn, Ashley in her room and her parents in theirs. Everything was as it used to be, as it was many years ago. Ashley sent a text message to her friend. My parents are alive. I'll explain everything later. In the morning, she was awakened by voices and the clatter of dishes in the kitchen. Ashley reached out and picked up her phone. There was a message from her friend. William went to get you. Ashley tried to get up, but the door swung open. William appeared in the doorway, deep in thought as he chewed on a sandwich. For some reason, Ashley burst into tears, startling William. Why are you crying? He asked, concerned. Ashley and William got married. They had a daughter together. Ashley's mother returned home after successful surgery, and she smiled warmly. My dear daughter, I always knew you were a beauty, she said.